Yugi Muto, the hero that started it all, and the master of the Dark Magician. Very little is known of his life after the events of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, until his return at the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but we do know that he continues to be regarded as one of the world's top duelists, and that the game of Duel Monsters continued to advance over the years as he kept on dueling. And so today, we're going to be taking a look at an anime-inspired deck profile for Yugi set during the events of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So what are the cards that he might have been using while Jaden Yuki was getting his game on over at Duel Academy? Let's find out. Well, obviously there are a few oldies that he's never going to get rid of. So right off the bat, we're going to say hello to our old friends, Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. In the film Dark Side of Dimensions, we see that Yugi's continued to build his deck out to support the two of them, and with all the support these two have seen over the years, I imagine Yugi would continue to craft his strategies the same way in the following years. To that end, and in honor of the Pharaoh's allies in ancient Egypt, we're also going to include Palladium Oracles Mahad and Mana, who fans will recognize as reincarnations of the Pharaoh's priest Mahad and his apprentice Mana from the Millennium World arc. Mahad was an Egyptian priest who eventually went on to become the Dark Magician, and it is suggested that his apprentice, Mana, eventually became the Dark Magician Girl. So these two cards can be viewed as light attribute counterparts to Yugi's ace monsters, sort of the road not traveled for these two. We saw Yugi make use of Palladium Oracle Mahad in Darkside, so we're going to assume he kept on using it over the years and eventually added Mana to his deck as well. We're also going to assume that he kept the various Magician Girls that we saw in that film as well, those being Apple Magician Girl, Berry Magician Girl, Chocolate Magician Girl, Kiwi Magician Girl, and Lemon Magician Girl, who all combo out to summon higher level spellcaster monsters like the Dark Magician, or weaken enemy monsters. These might be good monsters to side deck in and out if he doesn't want all 5 bogging down slots in a 40 card deck, but they all have useful effects individually and work together to complete the archetype, earning them their spots in this deck profile. Next, we're going to assume he continued to support his magicians with cards like Magician's Robe, Magician's Rod, Magician's Soul, and Magician of Dark Illusion, all of which make it easier to get the Dark Magician out onto the field or add support cards from the deck or graveyard to the hand. This is another set that would probably be easy to side in and out depending on circumstances, but less so than the Magician Girls. Then, in order to get some of Yugi's heavy hitters out onto the field, we'll include Skilled Dark Magician, Skilled White Magician, and Skilled Blue Magician. Each one of these monsters can collect spell counters in order to bring out a high-level monster, with those monsters being the Dark Magician, Buster Blader, and Gaia the Fierce Knight respectively. Although, in this profile, we're going to upgrade regular old Gaia to Arisen Gaia the Fierce Knight, just to make life a little bit easier on our Game King. And to round out the Gaia family, we're going to take Curse of Dragon and Blackluster Soldier and upgrade them to Curse of Dragon the Cursed Dragon and Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning. We'll also say that he upgraded Karibo to Magikaribo, because this card is objectively the best one in the entire game, no questions asked. And that does it for all the monsters in Yugi's main deck. We've got a few more coming in the side deck, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Moving on to spell cards, we have lots of support for Yugi's Spellcaster and Dark Magician cards. Dark Magic Attack, Dark Burning Magic, and Dark Magic Twin Burst all have effects that are dependent on either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. The first two focus on destroying cards that your opponent controls, while the third card combines the two monsters' attack strength. Bond between teacher and student is a card that lets you special summon Dark Magician Girl and set one of these 3 spell cards directly from the deck, making it useful in a pinch. Or, for when the Dark Magician's just feeling violent, the old Thousand Knives card is there to just carve up the problem. And in order to get monsters on the field in the first place, Dark Magic Veil allows Yugi to special summon any of his dark spellcasters from the hand. Allure of Darkness, Wonder Wand, and Soul Servant are all useful for adding cards from the deck to the hand, with Wonder Wand doubling as an attack-boosting equip spell at the same time. And then the field spell, Secret Village of the Spellcasters, puts his opponents at a huge disadvantage, taking away their ability to use spell cards whenever Yugi has a spellcaster on the field. However, it does come with a bit of a drawback, as it removes his ability to use spell cards if he doesn't have one out on the field already. So, it's a bit of a high-risk, high-reward card. The rest of the spell cards in this deck profile are all to facilitate bringing out his fusion and ritual monsters, of which he does have a few. Polymerization is pretty self-explanatory, just use it to fusion summon like normal. Magicalized Fusion, on the other hand, is a more specific fusion card, allowing him to fusion summon spellcasters by banishing the necessary materials from his field or graveyard. And then useful specifically for Yugi's deck, the Secrets of Dark Magic is used to fusion summon or ritual summon monsters using Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, making it a perfect card for the King of Games. And then because Yugi's a bit of an old soul and trap cards weren't quite dead 15 years ago, we have some traps to talk about. Eternal Soul is kind of the Dark Magician's best friend, continuously protecting it from all of your opponent's card effects, and each turn that it's on the field, it can be used to either special summon a Dark Magician from the hand or graveyard, or it can add Dark Magic Attack or Thousand Knives from the deck to the hand. So it's useful for getting Yugi's ace monster on the field, or using it to its fullest effect once it's already on the field. Then, when Yugi's opponents summon a monster, Dark Renewal allows him to tribute it, along with one of his own monsters, in order to summon a Dark Spellcaster from his deck or graveyard, essentially allowing him to hijack an opponent's summoning move in order to bring out one of his own boss monsters. Black Illusion protects all Dark Spellcasters with 2,000 or more attack points from being destroyed by battle and from card effects, but it negates their own effects as a trade-off. And speaking of trade-offs, Magician's Combination is a continuous trap card that lets Yugi tribute Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in order to bring out the other one from the hand or graveyard once per turn whenever his opponent activates a card effect. The enemy's card effect is negated, and Yugi is left with his other favorite monster on the field. It's a win-win. Magician Navigation lets the user summon Dark Magician and another level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster if you have Dark Magician in your hand. You can also banish this card from the graveyard after it's been there for one turn in order to destroy one of your opponent's spell or trap cards. I imagine Yugi would use this to simultaneously summon Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl together a lot. It just seems like the most common play for his deck strategy. And then good old Mirror Force needs no introduction. Yugi used this repeatedly throughout Duel Monsters, and it was no less useful during the GX era, so we're gonna say he kept it around. And that is it for Yugi's 40-card main deck. But the real fun is what happens in the side deck and the fusion deck. These are the heart of the cards last-minute ass pulls that we'd see save him at the last minute during really important matches. Starting with the side deck, we'll include Dark Magician of Chaos and Dark Eradicator Warlock, both of whom are high-level Dark Effect spellcasters, with the former preventing your opponent from activating traps, and the latter burning them for 1,000 points of damage each time a normal spell card is activated. Chaos Form is a ritual spell card that would give Yugi access to almost his entire arsenal of ritual monsters, as it can be used to summon any Chaos or Blackluster Soldier ritual monster. In the anime, Yugi occasionally summoned Magician of Black Chaos, but we're going to say he upgraded that card to Magician of Black Chaos Max. We'll also say that he's running Illusion of Chaos and Magician of Chaos, giving him access to a total of 3 Dark Magician ritual upgrades. And just to make sure no one in the family gets left out, we'll throw in Dark Magician of Chaos too. We're also going to be running 2 support spell cards, Dedication through Light and Darkness, and Chaos Scepter Blast, both of which are used to bring out monsters from this Magician of Chaos archetype. Chaos Form can also be used to summon Yugi's old Blackluster Soldier monster, but, like Envoy of the Beginning, we're going to swing the King of Games an upgrade and give him Blackluster Soldier Super Soldier, which in this deck works as an upgraded form for Arisen Gaia the Fierce Knight. Then, to close out the ritual cards, we'll say that Yugi sides a copy of Archfiend's Awakening and Contract with the Abyss, for all those old Summon Skull fans out there. And Yugi's deck wouldn't be complete without both Wadapon and Big Shield Gardna to protect him, so those are going to be returning from the old days just as they were, finishing out the side deck. This brings us to our home stretch, and we're going to close everything out with the Fusion deck. Remember when it was called the Fusion deck? I'm old enough to remember when it was called the Fusion deck. One of Yugi's earliest fusion plays was to combine Gaia the Fierce Knight and Curse of Dragon into Gaia the Dragon Champion. Since we're running upgraded versions of the material monsters in this deck, the fusion result needs to be upgraded as well. So, we'll replace Gaia the Dragon Champion with Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons, whose effect allows it to gain 2,600 attack points whenever it destroys a monster, but it can also sacrifice 2,600 attack points to destroy another card on the field. Arisen Gaia the Fierce Knight can also fuse with the Dark Magician in order to bring out Dark Cavalry. Dark Cavalry inflicts piercing damage when battling defense position monsters, and allows the user to discard from the hand in order to negate and destroy opponents' targeting cards. Now, while the art for this card does imply that it is a Gaia the Fierce Knight specific fusion monster, that's not actually the case. The Dark Magician can fuse with any warrior type monster in order to bring out Dark Cavalry, so in this deck, technically Yugi could use Buster Blader as well. But given the fact that it seems like Dark Magician and Gaia are supposed to fuse in order to create this monster, I think we'll pretty much see Yugi sticking to that combination in all of his plays, in this totally fictional show that I'm definitely not writing. Speaking of the Buster Blader, we all know from the old days that Yugi's Dark Magician can fuse with Buster Blader. Returning from Battle City is the Dark Paladin, who famously defeated Seto Kaiba during the tournament semifinals and continues to make a fine addition to the team here today. This card gains 500 attack points for every Dragon-type monster on the field or in the graveyard, and allows the user to discard one card in order to negate and destroy activated spell cards. But sometimes one magician isn't enough, and when that happens, the Dark Magician can always partner up with his apprentice, the Dark Magician Girl, to bring out the Dark Magicians, whose effect allows players to draw and set a card in response to activated spell or trap cards. This is the kind of card that would be bonkers to pull off a save in the real world, but throw in a little bit of Yugi's Heart of the Cards plot armor, and I think this will do nicely in a pinch. Failing that, however, there's always the Dark Master of Chaos, who is summoned by combining the Dark Magician with any of Yugi's Chaos or Blackluster Soldier monsters. This monster allows its owner to special summon a light or dark monster from the graveyard, and then tribute it in order to banish all monsters your opponent controls. When it's destroyed, the owner can return a spell card that's in the graveyard to their hand. And last, but certainly not least, we have Yugi's ultimate monster, the weapon reserved for only the most critical of situations, the Quintet Magician, a monster that requires 5 spellcasters to fusion summon. If Yugi manages to summon this card by fusing 5 monsters with different names, it destroys all cards his opponent controls, and this massive beatstick of a monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. Its only major drawback is that it can't be tributed, and it can't be used as further fusion material, meaning you're stuck with it as long as it's on the field. And that wraps out this GX-era deck profile for our hero, Yugi Muto. I'd probably add cards like Dragon Master Knight, Dark Sage, Archfiend Black Skull Dragon, and Red Eyes Dark Dragoon for situations where he's tag teaming with Kaiba or Joey. I always really wanted to see Dark Sage come back in a situation where Yugi wasn't exploiting a giant Trojan horse that he had thrown into his best friend's deck, even if it is a complete brick of a card in real life. But yeah, what do you guys think? Are there any cards I should have included that I skipped over? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this kind of video, let me know what other characters you'd like to see new deck profiles for. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you get to see new videos as soon as they come out, and feel free to hit me up on Twitter or on Reddit. Everybody stay safe and stay healthy, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!